right, so thank you for tuning in to Talking Like a Bit. I'm Kyle Edwards again. Thank you for coming back. If you are returning, if you are new, appreciate you stopping by. Hope everything's going well with you. So, week 1 in the NFL schedule is over now. Actually getting ready to start week 2 here in a couple hours. Thursday Night Football, which I will talk about a little bit towards the end of the episode. But, as I said last episode, I made picks for week 1. Just that I wasn't able to record it. So, weren't able to hear what my picks were. But I did write them down. So I'm going to go over those on this episode. As well as, as I go through the picks I made. Because once again, I did pick every game. And I did it against the spread. Real quickly, if you don't know what the spread is, the sports books put out a line picking a favorite and an underdog, and they set a point line of minus or plus or whatever. So I picked based off of that. But yeah, so picked all 16 games, go through them, and then as I go through the picks, quickly summarize the game in a sentence or two, and then let you know which win I thought was the most impressive from the weekend, as well as which loss I thought was probably the worst loss of the weekend. And then, like I said, we'll talk about the Thursday Night Football game. Now I'll give you my pick for that game as well. And yeah, we'll go from there. And then I'll wait with the rest of my picks for another episode before the Sunday games. So with that, that means we'll be going back to my sounder. So obviously, if it's a correct pick, you will hear that money sound right there. And then if the pick was wrong, you'll hear booing. Pretty simple. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first game, of course, was last Thursday's game, which opened the season, which is the Bucs Cowboys. Bucs were favored at 9.5. I know it's a big line, but I decided to go with the Bucs because I thought Cowboys had too many questions. And even though, like I said, big line, but I thought the Buccaneers would be the team that would cover that with all their offensive weapons and their returning defense, which was so good last season's playoff during their run. So basically, it came down to the Bucs did win 31-29, but according to the line, that counts as a loss for me. And basically, the reason why the Cowboys were able to cover, 2 words: Dak Prescott. He played great. He looks like he's back from the injury. He's clearly the best player on that team, and they need to figure out what's wrong with Zeke, because he wasn't productive at all. So they need to take some pressure off of Prescott, otherwise they'll be one-dimensional, and defenses can game plan for that easily. And the Bucs just, Tom Brady teams usually start off a little slow, but they did get the win, so that was good. Next game was Eagles-Falcons. The Falcons went in as a 3-point favorite. I went with the Falcons on this one. And if you saw the game, you would know that the Eagles won 32-6. So, another loss. And basically from this game, what did we learn? The Falcons are the same as last year. They can't stop anybody on defense. And offensively, inconsistent. Because they had a great running game in the first half, nothing in the second half. Calvin Ridley started off great with 5 catches in the first quarter. He had 2 catches the rest of the game. And for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts looked pretty good, but we just have to wonder, was that because the Falcons defense is that bad that he looked that good? So we'll be looking to see if Hurts can back that up with a second good game coming on Sunday. And then, maybe Philly will be building to something. Next game, Steelers-Bills. So in this one, I actually went with the underdog. I took the Steelers giving 6.5 to Buffalo. And not only did the Steelers cover, but they actually won it outright. So I ended up winning on that one. Steelers won 23-16. And what happened was Buffalo's offense didn't really show up. That's basically what happened in that one. Pittsburgh, they did enough offensively to win, but offensively they don't look like juggernauts either. Defensively, they were able to put together more plays than Buffalo was able to on offense, and that's how they ended up getting the touchdown win. Let's see. Next game was Vikings and the Bengals. Going into that game, the Vikings were a 3-point favorite. I went with the Vikings on that one, only because I didn't know what Joe Burrow was going to look like in his first game back after missing basically all of last year with the leg injury. But the Bengals ended up pulling out the game 27-24 in overtime. So loss. And basically what it was, Burrow looked great. The offensive line, still some questions about, so hopefully he can get through a full season. But I will say, watching the Bengals, offensively, they're kind of fun to watch because you have Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, who had his drop issues in the preseason, but he looked fine in that game. You have T. Higgins, who's a good complimentary receiver. You have Joe Mixon in the backfield, who's a good young running back. You also have Tyler Boyd, because they do run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. So when those 3 guys are out there, I mean, Chase is your speed guy. Boyd and Higgins are more bigger targets for Burrow. But if the offensive line can protect Burrow, I think the Bengals are a team that can put up some points. And then defensively, they were okay defensive line. They were able to put some pressure on Kirk Cousins. And it was a good win for them against the team. Like I said, I thought Minnesota was going to pull it out. Not like I think Minnesota's this great team, but I just thought first game Burrow might have had to knock off some of the rust, but he looked great. So Bengals start off 1-0. Like I said, that was a loss for me. I think I already played the sound. So go to the next game. 49ers, Lions. 49ers went into the game 7.5 point favorite. I picked the 49ers. And 49ers pulled it out 41-33. Although the game was pretty much out of hand when it was 41-14 or something like that. But then special teams and defense and all that for 49ers went to sleep, gave the Lions some late touchdowns, which made it closer than it should have been, which did have me sweating a little bit because I thought the Lions were going to get some backdoor cover and, give me the loss on that one only because the 49ers stopped playing. But they didn't. They barely covered, but hey, a cover is a cover. So with this one, I'm only looking at this game from the point where when it was 41-14, the 49ers looked like a complete team. Defensively, flying around the ball, making plays. Offensively, they are going with a 2-quarterback system because Trey Lance did come in, and I believe he threw a touchdown pass on his first pass because Garoppolo led the offense to the red zone, brought in Lance. He threw it, it was an out route to the left corner of the end zone, and they scored there. But clearly that's going to be something that's going to be worked going forward. So hopefully they can keep Garoppolo healthy for the season. I know Nick Bosa missed some time last year, so defensively, hopefully they can keep that together. Then 49ers might be a team to watch come playoff time. Lions are the Lions. I mean, what can I say? New coach, new quarterback after they swapped Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. It's going to be a struggle for Detroit. But maybe with the late game, late push that they made in this one to make the score more respectable, maybe they can build off of that and surprise some teams who may take them lightly. That's going to be something to watch going forward. Next game, we have the Cardinals and the Titans. Let me see. So the Titans, I went with the Titans, who were -3. They were the favorite going into this game. And this game did not turn out anywhere close to what I thought it was going to be. So the Cardinals rolled on the Titans 38-13. So it's a loss. Kyler Murray was outstanding. And a lot of times I don't really like going against Kyler Murray because I like Kyler Murray's game. And in this one, he had 5 touchdowns. I believe he had 4 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. But then defensively, I mean, they swarmed that Titans offense. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. Yes, 5 sacks. There was something interesting with the Titans. Julio Jones got like some unsportsmanlike penalty or something, which Vrabel addressed, and he said that they don't stand for that. So maybe that's a relationship that we need to watch. Julio and Mike Vrabel. We'll see. But definitely disappointing for a team in Tennessee that a lot of people think could possibly be there in the end and make it to a Super Bowl, you know, with their offense with Derrick Henry and Tannehill looking different than the guy who was in Miami. They brought over Julio Jones to pair with A.J. Brown to create a two-headed passing attack to take some of the pressure off of Derrick Henry. But after this game, we didn't see it. Doesn't mean we won't see it for the rest of the season. Just game 1, they didn't all come together. Maybe it'll take them some time to get it gelled and really get going offensively. All right, next we had Seahawks and the Colts. I went with the Seahawks as the 3-point favorite in this one, and Seattle covered. They won 28-16. It's a win. Once again, you guys know how I feel about Russell Wilson. I think that he's probably the second best quarterback in the league, behind everybody's favorite Mahomes. But you know, we can argue about that. But Russell Wilson's clearly at least top 3 for me. And there was a play in this game where the Colts tried to bring pressure on Wilson, and he backed up, almost like he threw off his back foot, threw a perfect floater down the middle of the field to Tyler Lockett, who had to adjust. And it was just a great play. Tyler Lockett had 2 touchdown receptions in this game. Colts had trouble with him all game. And that connection between Wilson and Lockett, I mean, expect to see more touchdowns out of those 2. And for the Colts, it was the first chance we got to see of Carson Wentz. There was a little bit of struggles there. He had 2 touchdowns, but, it was the Colts didn't really play as well as some would have expected, because the Colts are another team that people are watching in the AFC. Once again, like I said with Tennessee, it is just game 1, so I'm not going to harp too much on that. But hey, maybe the Seahawks have something going, because they did try to fix the offensive line. And Wilson got sacked 3 times, but it's not too bad. You don't want to see that week after week, but if it's 3 sacks here and then maybe they keep him clean next week or something like that, you can take that. And the Colts have a decent front 7, so it's not unexpected to give up some sacks to them. Let's go to the next game. We got Chargers and the Redskins. So this is another one where I went with the underdog and took the Chargers, who were +1, which is, very razor thin, underdog favorite line there, just 1 point. So I took the Chargers because I'm expecting big things from Justin Herbert this year. They made the change at coach, went from Anthony Lynn to Brandon Staley. So I think that's an improvement coaching wise. Anthony Lynn, by the end of last season, just seemed like he was in over his head. And they had to make that move. So here we are. Herbert didn't disappoint. Threw for 337 yards, led a fourth quarter comeback, because going into the fourth, they were down 16-13, but got a touchdown drive in the fourth quarter to put them up 20-16, and they held Washington off the board. Washington have to deal with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who did get hurt. I believe he hurt his hip. He's on IR. They're going with, is it Tyler or Taylor? I think it's Taylor Heineke. You may remember him from the playoff run last year. He was the starter then. Questions came about Cam Newton because of Ron Rivera, but Ron Rivera shot those down. So looks like Heineke's the guy going forward, and they do play tonight. So like I said, towards the end of the episode here, I will talk about Thursday Night Football, but yeah. So Chargers got off a good start, 1-0, and in that division, they're trying to fight in that pack with the Raiders and Broncos as the number 2 team behind Kansas City. Like I said, I think Herbert could be the second best quarterback in that division. So Chargers are an interesting team to watch this year. Next game was the Jets and the Panthers. This is another one where I went with the underdog. I took the Jets at +4. And this was the Sam Darnold Bowl. As how ironic is it that the Jets traded Darnold to Carolina? Did they trade him, or was he just a free agent assigned there? Either way, he went from the Jets to Carolina in the offseason. And, of course, the first game of the season was Jets-Panthers. So that was a funny little scheduling quirk there. But Darnold ended up getting the win over his former team. Like I said, Panthers won 19-14. So that's a loss. And it was low scoring, 19-14. Zach Wilson did get his first touchdown pass, so congratulations to him. He clearly is more comfortable when the scripted play breaks down and he can kind of improvise. So other teams are going to learn to keep him in the pocket. That's clearly where he's less comfortable. Darnold looks improved only because he has better pieces around him in Carolina and has a better coach in Carolina. He has Robbie Anderson, who's a good downfield threat. They hooked up for a touchdown in this one. Both teams are pretty much rebuilding. Panthers are a little further along, but not really expecting much out of these two teams this year. So, good win for Sam Darnold. Going up against, like I said, the Jets team, where he dealt with a lot of scrutiny from the New York media that really got on him, even though you couldn't blame all of the Jets' struggles on him. So I'm sure he's smiling a little bit wider after that one. Next game was the Jaguars and the Texans. I took the Jaguars as a 3-point favorite over the Texans, and this is another one. Did not go the way that I thought it was going to go, because the Texans ended up winning 37-21. To be honest with you, I didn't know the Texans had it in them to put up 37 points at any point this season. they had Tyrod Taylor as their starting quarterback. I'm not bashing Tyrod Taylor in any way, but he's more of the ball control, short intermediate type passing. At least that's what he's known for. But there were some times in this game where he, rolled out either to his left or his right, looked downfield, made plays downfield, shook off oncoming rushers to extend the play, made plays downfield. And once again, both teams are rebuilding. The Texans, we know, have that big cloud with Deshaun Watson over them. What's going to happen there? But at least for one game, they put it all behind them, put forth a great effort, put up big points with 37. Other side, it was Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer, their first game together. Trevor Lawrence got his touchdown pass, first of his career, so congratulations to him. But I guess story in Jacksonville as well. People are asking Urban Meyer about the USC job already. It's been 1 week and already getting questions about it. So we'll have to see if that becomes a distraction as the year goes on. But yeah, Texans got to win. Some people thought they were going to go 0-17, so hey, they've already beaten that. Let's see. Next game, Browns and the Chiefs. Once again, I went with the underdog here. I took the Browns as the 5.5 point underdog against the Chiefs. The Chiefs did win 33-29, but they only won by 4. So the Browns did cover, which counts as a win for me. Funny thing with this game, if you saw the playoff game last year between these two, it was basically the same script in this one. Cleveland got out early, looked like the better team, looked like they were going to, wash off that sting from the playoff loss and get a win against Kansas City. Yeah, did not happen. And I think what did it was the end of the first half. There was a sequence where, so basically all first half, Cleveland was playing really aggressive, going for it on fourth downs, all this kind of stuff, because they had the mentality that kicking field goals was not going to do it with Kansas City because they could put up points quickly. I understand that. Fine with it. But it was late in the first half, I think like less than 15 seconds in the second quarter. They made a play downfield. They were well within field goal range, but instead of kicking the field goal to end the half, they went for it to try to get a touchdown, which I guess they thought would have been the nail in the coffin. But the play didn't work, and they didn't even score. So they went into the half 22-10. They were leading, and the Chiefs came out, and they just, like I said, like last year, they came out on fire, and they outscored the Browns in the second half 23-7, and that's what led to them getting the comeback win. So Mahomes made plays like he does. The offense, we know what it is. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, both those guys scored. But for Cleveland, it's a reminder that they have to play smart to beat teams like Kansas City. But it was reassuring, I guess, to them that they can hang with a team like Kansas City. And they just have to make a couple adjustments here, and then they could be put into that upper group in the AFC. So, like I said, going forward, if the Browns can fix those errors, they're not going to play Kansas City every week. So, they may have lost to Kansas City this week, but they go up against like Pittsburgh or Baltimore or something. They play the way they did, they'll probably get a win. So, I'm not down on Cleveland. I still think Cleveland's going to win that division. And that was from the last episode where I predicted all the divisions, but I did pick Cleveland to win the AFC North. And what I saw Sunday does not make me question that pick at all. So, They may have lost, but they still look good. All right, next game. So my Patriots went up against the Dolphins. I took the Patriots as the 3-point favorite. It was Mac Jones versus Tua Tagovailoa, former Alabama quarterbacks. Mac Jones backed up Tagovailoa. Then he left for the NFL. Mac Jones got his chance to play. And here we are. First week, the two of them go up against each other. And we know how the offseason went. Mac Jones, Cam Newton had a quarterback battle. Mac Jones ultimately won the battle. They released Cam Newton. He was the game one starter. I gotta say, I was impressed by him. He made NFL-worthy throws. He showed mobility in the pocket. Probably deserved to get the win because, and he did get his first career touchdown pass as well. But he was as advertised. Accurate quarterback. May not have the strongest arm, although I did see him throw some tight window throws. The defense was up and down. They did give up a couple of big plays in the passing game, but they did kind of hunker down towards the red zone and kept the Dolphins out of the end zone a couple of times. Actually held the Dolphins scoreless in the fourth quarter. It was just, the name of the game was two costly fumbles from Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris for the Patriots that killed drives that could have led to scores. Well, the Damian Harris one was in the red zone when Mac Jones was leading the team down to take the go-ahead score late in the fourth quarter, but Harris fumbled, and that was the game. So a lot of positives for New England going into their next game with the Jets this weekend. And then for the Dolphins, I mean, Tua played well. And, I mean, for both teams, their defense is going to be their number one, I guess, calling card over the offense, at least for now. But Tua showed that he's NFL. I think he's NFL worthy as well. Once again, it is the first game, so now teams will have more tape on them. We'll see how teams adjust playing defense against him, and if he can make those adjustments in himself to combat that, we'll have to watch that as the season goes on. But watching these two teams, they're kind of in the same boat. Probably gonna slot in behind Buffalo and fight for a wild card. And it makes sense. You know, Brian Flores, the coach of the Dolphins, came from Belichick's staff. So they think the same way and build their teams the same way. All right, let's see. All right, we're coming out to the last few games here. Next game was the Packers and the Saints. I took the Packers as a 3.5-point favorite in this one. And, yeah, Saints blew them out, so that was a loss. I guess the LASIK surgery did wonders for Jameis Winston. Why he waited this long, I'll never know. But he had 5 touchdowns. And we know with the Hurricane Ida and all that, the Saints played, I think they played this game in Tallahassee because they can't use, their stadium in New Orleans right now as they're cleaning up and all that. But the story of this game was Green Bay. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard me as well on here say, not as enamored with Aaron Rodgers as a lot of analysts are and a lot of people you'll see on YouTube and all kind of stuff. He just doesn't do it for me. So watching him struggle against the Saints defense did make me smile, I will say. To me, I think this whole diva act that he's been doing with Green Bay the past couple of years, I feel like the Packers need to, what am I looking for? I guess man up. Call Aaron Rodgers' bluff. stop folding to all of his demands and all this kind of stuff. Because he cries about he doesn't have weapons there, but he has Devontae Adams, who's a top 3 wide receiver in the league. He has Aaron Jones, who's a top running back in the league. He whined to get Randall Cobb or whatever there and all this kind of stuff. And he put up 3 points. He made passes in that game that looked like he could care less about playing football at this point. And I think his mentality and his body language and all that kind of stuff, I think it had an effect on the team in this game. Now, I don't know if that's going to carry all year. I don't know. But Green Bay is a team that, like I said, a lot of these analysts think could be dangerous in the NFC because the NFC isn't as deep as the AFC. But based on what I saw and what I think about Aaron Rodgers, I think it's just going to be another year of high expectations, but not even coming close to reaching any of it. But that's just me. That's just me saying that. So once again, I'll be keeping an eye on Green Bay. Let's see if they bounce back this week. I'm not sure who they play. For some reason, I think they play the Vikings or something. But like I said, we'll get into that another episode when I do week 2 picks. All right. Next game. Broncos and the Giants. So I took the Broncos as the 3-point favorite in this one. The Broncos ended up winning 27-13. Covered. That's a win for me. Broncos really are an intriguing team to me. I like the way that they play. They play great defense. They have Von Miller and Chubb. In the front 7. Then they have like corners who, can play the ball in the air. They, run with wide receivers, play tight coverage. I mean, the defense is predicated on Von Miller and Chubb getting pressure, but yeah, they fly around. And then offensively, Teddy Bridgewater looked like the guy who played with the Saints when Breeze missed some games and Bridgewater came in, played well, didn't turn the ball over. Actually pushes the ball downfield a little bit more than he did when he was with Carolina. And he still rocks the 2 gloves, which he might be the only quarterback who does that. I think Tyrod Taylor might do it too, but it works for him. And he made plays with his legs. He took a big hit on a scramble. Kind of like laughed it off or something. So he's definitely having a good time out in Denver. And with that defense, and if Bridgewater can play mistake-free football, they have weapons on offense. I mean, Jerry Jeudy did get hurt, so we'll have to see what that does to the offense going forward. But I would not be surprised if the Broncos took a wild card spot. I gotta say it, I like what they're doing out there. And plus, with the whole added advantage of playing in Denver when other teams come in and the high altitude and all that, I don't know. Broncos are a team to watch. Giants, I mean, yeah. The Giants have offensive weapons. Problem is, the offensive line isn't that good. So if they could figure that out somehow, give Daniel Jones time, Giants they're not a terrible team. I think the ceiling for them this year is probably going to be, can they be just average? Just try to be average. Because in that division, average will keep you in it long into the season. So, also, I feel like, and this is New York, they do this a lot because they did it with Sam Darnold, like I said with the Jets. I think New York is well, I mean, they started turning on Daniel Jones last year, but it seems like they are waiting to completely turn on him this year. And I actually think Daniel Jones has a lot of talent because he's a dual threat. He's very comfortable scrambling around. He can pick up first downs with his legs. He's got a good arm. It's just they need to protect him better. Plus, Saquon Barkley came back this year, but he doesn't look right. So until Barkley gets going, then it just puts more on Daniel Jones. So I'm not writing the Giants off yet. I mean, I think I picked the Giants to finish maybe last in that division. I can't remember. But, I mean, out of the NFC East teams this past weekend, they did look like the worst team. But like I said, I think there is room to improve there. They just got to get that offensive line fixed. All right, now we're into the Sunday night game, which is Rams. I took the Rams as a 7.5 point favorite, which is another big line. I felt comfortable with this one. And the Rams won 34-14. A win. This one, it was all about Stafford and the offense. I mean, based on how the Lions played and the Rams played, I know it's different pieces around the two quarterbacks, but clearly the Rams got the better of that deal, which we knew. We know that Stafford is a better quarterback than Goff. That's a given. But I mean, he seems like, I guess, the piece that Sean McVay's been needing to really unlock this offense. With their lack of, I guess, depth at the running back, they're going to have to rely heavily on the passing game. But they have Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Those two, they're a problem for opposing defenses. And then defensively, you have Aaron Donald, of course, up front. You got Jalen Ramsey on the back end. They're going to be a problem. If Stafford can, I guess, handle the pressure that's going to come throughout this season with the Rams being a team that people are looking at with the offensive weapons, the defensive guys that I just said, and they feel like Stafford is the missing piece to get them back to a Super Bowl and possibly win one this year, then the Rams should be fine. On the other side, I said this before the Week 1 game started. The fact that Matt Nagy went with Andy Dalton to start the game, fine, whatever. If you just wanted to do that just to give Fields a chance to sit back for a week, cool. Fields came in, threw a touchdown pass. Congratulations to him, first career one. And it just seemed like the team loved the fact that he was out there. Not saying that they don't like playing for Dalton and all that kind of stuff, because Andy Dalton is a quality quarterback. I know he gets this bad rep for, playing in Cincinnati and blah, 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 and the struggles they went through with that organization. But remember, he did lead that team to the playoffs a few times. So that's got to mean something. But I think Nagy needs to go ahead and put Fields in as the starting quarterback sooner rather than later. If you want to give him another week, fine, but it has to be at least by week 3 where Fields is the starting guy, because the ceiling is not high with Dalton with this group. And Fields, like I said, it may not be much higher, but at least it'll be more exciting, and you can understand that they're building towards something. If you're starting Dalton over him, you're kind of getting off the impression that his veteran presence is what's going to get you over the top, and I just don't see that, so I don't see the point in playing him. I think having him there as a backup, cool, because if Fields struggles or he gets hurt from scrambling around and all that kind of stuff, you feel good with Dalton going in there. But starting him over Fields just doesn't make sense to me. And I think they have Nick Foles there as well, which I don't understand that. clearly you need to deal with one of those guys. Because, if Nagy tries to, redshirt, well, he's not going to redshirt him because he did bring him into the game. But if he's just going to go with, Dalton and Foles starting and then Fields is some gimmick quarterback with a couple of plays here and there every game, I think it's going to be a waste of a year, and it makes no sense. But yeah, so. Yeah. Maybe there's some optimism with the Bears if they put Fields out there. All right, now to the final game of the week. It was Ravens-Raiders on Monday night. I went with the underdog Raiders in this one, who were a 4-point underdog against the Ravens. The Raiders ended up pulling it out 33-27 in overtime, so that's another win. And what can I say about this game? Well, I will say the Thursday night game between Tampa Bay and Dallas was great to watch to start the week. And then to end the week, Raiders-Ravens was an incredible game. So much fun watching that one. I don't want to go overboard with the Raiders. It is a good win against a Baltimore team. They have the pieces to be pretty good with Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs in the backfield, as well as Kenyon Drake. You got Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow in the passing game. So the pieces are there. Defensively, a little less enthusiastic about it, but, it's an offensive league anyway. So I'm in the middle with the Raiders because I could see them completely bottoming out and being terrible this year. But then I could see them as being one of the surprise teams in the AFC where teams have kind of dismissed them. And if you're not careful, Darren Waller can put up 100-yard games on you. Henry Ruggs can break off a 50-yard touchdown pass on you. And Derek Carr is easily top half quarterback. Trying to think quickly in my head. Maybe you could make an argument as a top 10 quarterback in the league based off of ability, but he'd be towards the bottom, 9-10, I've always, paid attention to the Raiders because of their fan base, which probably one of the top fan bases in the league when they were in Oakland and all in LA. Vegas seems to have embraced them, which I think is great because Vegas is a, market that, leagues have started jumping into. And I think the Raiders are the perfect team for the NFL to put there. So, yes. Then other side real quick, Baltimore, I'm not, completely gonna, stomp on their season for losing this one. Lamar Jackson looks like he's improved a little bit, his throwing. I do want to see some more there. He has to work on ball security because he had a costly fumble late when he was trying to scramble and get a few extra yards. But, it was a great game. Both teams made a case to win the game. It was just that Raiders made one more play in overtime to pull off the win. It was a great play as well because the Ravens brought an all-out blitz on Derek Carr. He was backing up, kind of did like the Russell Wilson, threw it off his back foot. But since he got the pass off, the receiver, for some reason I want to say it was Waller, but I don't think it was Waller. It might have been the backup tight end. But either way, it was a perfectly dropped-in pass over the top to him. They won it in overtime, so there you are. Those are my picks from week one. If you were keeping track, I ended the week 8-8 after pulling off those last three in a row. 8-8, great way to start. I'll take that. Interesting though, I went 4-1 when picking underdogs. So maybe that's gonna be the theme this year. If I pick underdogs, you should do something with it. That might be where I make my mark with these picks. So as I said, I want to be 60% by the end of the year. 8-8, I'll take that for week 1 because week 1, a lot of unpredictability. But hopefully I do much better now that I've seen each team play this first week. So real quickly, most impressive win from the week for me, I would say it's close. I like what the Rams showed me. I liked what the Raiders showed me. The Seahawks as well. I think that Chargers win against Washington, underrated. I'll go with the Rams. I'll say, gotta take opponent into consideration. You know what? I'll say the Saints. I think the Saints one was the most impressive. Only because Jameis Winston looked like the guy, coming out of Florida State. He went number 1 overall for a reason, and you saw it. Great arm talent. Now, apparently, with his vision corrected, him playing this well, not going to say he's going to have 5 touchdown passes every game, of course, but Sean Payton putting him out there, knowing that he will make the right play and he has the ability to make all the plays, can definitely turn the Saints season around. A lot of people were kind of writing them off as being middle of the pack because no Breeze, didn't know what we're going to get from Jameis Winston. But he keeps playing like this, then they will be a team that should be a certain playoff team. And then who knows, once you get into the playoffs, Winston is playing like this that he did on Sunday. Definitely a type of quarterback that can win you some games in the postseason. So I would say that was my most impressive win. Worst loss of the weekend, I could turn around and say Green Bay. I'm not going to. I could say Tennessee against Arizona. I'm going to go with the Falcons, though. So the Falcons, coming into this year, weren't a lot of expectations. But this game against Philadelphia was seen as a game that they should win. They should have had a great chance to win this game. Start your season off well. 1-0 for a team with not a lot of expectations. You don't know where that could take you. Maybe you ride a little high for a little bit, win a couple of games early you're not supposed to. Who knows? But the way that they lost that game, being down here in Atlanta, Philadelphia came in with all the questions that they have at quarterback, new coach. People thought this coach was kind of a joke. Defensive questions, and to get blown out 32-6 with all the weapons that you have on offense with Calvin Ridley. I mean, not all, but Calvin Ridley, yeah, Matt Ryan. They put Cordero Patterson back at running back, which he did when he was with New England. I like him as a running back. Yeah, Mike Davis, who had a good year for Carolina last year. Who else do they have? Oh, Kyle Pitts, the guy you drafted, what was it, number 4 or 5 overall, when some people thought maybe you should take one of these quarterbacks who were coming out. I didn't think that because I think Matt Ryan's fine, but they could have went defensively. I mean, everybody knows they need defensive help, but they went with the tight end. Kyle Pitts played like half the snaps. I barely remember him being out there. I remember him with 1 catch. I don't know if that's what he ended with. I guess we'll see that real quick. I mean, for all the hype behind him, he actually had 4 catches, but only 31 yards, so not much of an impact. Like I said, Calvin Ridley had like 4 catches in the first half of the first quarter and then ended the game with 5 catches. So nothing there. The offensive line, it's still not that great. Might be a little better than last year, but not that much. There's serious questions about this team and how many games can they really win this year. Not saying they're going to go 0-17. I think I was leaning towards them being like 7-10, something like that. That might be pushing it based off the way they played that game. But just the first game, so there is room for improvement. But they played Tampa Bay this week. Do you have any confidence in them performing any better against that Tampa Bay team? Because I don't. So now you're staring 0-2 in your face. Then where does this team go from there? How does the fan base react after that? So, to me, that was the worst loss of the week. So, but yeah, so that's how. I guess I'll do these picks and all that every week. Because I will pick every game again, and as I recap the games, in the same format, go over my pick, recap a little bit, and we'll just go with that. So, now before I get out of here, onto the Thursday night game. It's the Giants against the Washington football team. Side note, apparently there's some big announcement coming tonight during the game. And I think some people think it has to do with Hard Knocks or something like that. But follow me with this for a little bit. What if the announcement is the new Washington nickname? That'd be a pretty big announcement. So definitely watch to see what that's all about. And so I'm going to try to get this out to you before the game starts. Should be able to. So you can listen to this before the game gets going. Let me see. What's the line on the game? So they have Washington as a 3.5 point favorite on the Giants. So for my pick to start off week 2, I'm going to take the Washington football team minus 3.5 to beat the Giants. I think Heineke is a decent quarterback. He's been in the system, so there's no adjustment needed there. I think the defensive front for Washington is going to put a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones and going to disrupt a lot of what they want to do. Expecting a low-scoring game, but I could see Washington winning this game like 20-16 or like 20-16, even like a 17-13 type game. I'm expecting, like I said, low scoring. And yeah, so the matchup to watch is, can the Giants offensive line give Daniel Jones enough time to make plays against that defensive front for Washington? They're going to be coming after him. Chase Young and those guys they're not easy to deal with. So if they can do that, the Giants have a chance in this game. If you hear Chase Young's name a lot tonight, it's a long night for the Giants. Offensively, like I said, Heineke's not going to, set the world on fire, but I think he's steady enough that they can make enough plays to win this game. So like I said, give me 2016 Washington covering the 3.5 as my pick. And yeah. So with that was a lot. But thanks for tuning in. If you are, like I said in the beginning, this is your first time checking out the podcast, chomping at the bit, go ahead. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard. You can go ahead, hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you are checking it out on YouTube, hit notification bell. That way you know when I upload one of these episodes. You can follow me, the show, as well as myself on Twitter at Chompin' Podcast, where I do tweet pretty often during games. and we can interact that way. You can give me ideas for topics as well. Anything. Questions, whatever. And I can bring it on to a future episode or something like that. But yeah, so thanks again. As I say at the end of every episode, appreciate you listening in. Be safe out there. God bless. I'll catch you in the next episode. All right, I'm out.